Reality. It engulfs us perpetually. Every breath we take introduces oxygen into our bloodstream. When we exhale, carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere. A fascinating gas exchange, without which life would be denied. Chemistry, the subtle dance of the molecules. When we behold the world, light collides with our retina, where cells called photoreceptors turn the particles of light into electric signals that are ultimately translated into image. Biology and physics wed in the marvel of natural selection. When one traces a train of thought, millions of neurons shot electricity, weaving a network of consciousness. Neurology and psychology, the painters of human perception. When two particles shatter one another, they birth more differing particles, and they all uphold this realm through the magic peculiarity of quantum mechanics. Fascinating, isn't it? Reality is utterly marvelous. Unfortunately, though, we are usually too distracted by our petty lives to grasp the immensity and intricacy of the world around and within ourselves. We are trapped in the box of subjectivity of our minds, rushing day in and day out for a couple of paper rectangles. We too often pursue happiness without having any idea about the chemical and neuronal alchemy that is responsible for this tingly sensation. We frequently fall prey to our delirious emotions, but rarely do we reflect on the origin of these sentiments. We are limited in our perception, yet seldomly do we desire to break the false walls of our limits. Our reality is not synonymous with actual reality. We don subjective lenses that skew objective truths. But time favors those who are wishful to learn. It is never too late for change, but willingness to relinquish our truncated inner reality is needed if we want to thread the path to knowledge, to scientific knowledge. It may come difficult to give up our favorite stories and beliefs. The great tale about the creation of the universe and the importance of man in its economy is beautiful and poetic. But what if you dare to take a step back and change the angle of view? What if there is the possibility of a different path of events? This what if question is the phrase that spurred man's mind into seeking other alternatives, and it ultimately led us to progress and the world of today. This proves that taking a different perspective on matters can be fruitful. But to take a different perspective sometimes implies surrendering conventional beliefs and stories. Conventional stories don't end with biblical tales. Conventional stories are everywhere around us. Nationalism, liberalism, self-image, and even big corporations are just mere stories that just so happened to give birth to material realities. We, as humans, created all these. They don't exist as a result of natural selection or quantum mechanics. They exist only in the world we have created, a world whose origins reside in the human mind. And this fact is fascinating in itself. However, we too often forget about the outer world that has not originated in our storyteller brain. And consequences occur. For example, we are so entrenched in the story about money that for its sake we actively and consciously destroy our ecosystem, and ultimately we pave the way to our own extinction. We are so entrenched in the story about our ego that we are willing to auto-destruct when others don't value us and splatter our self-image with dirty insults. Even if these insults don't deal real damage, they don't take away our skills and value, but our narrating self tells otherwise, thus materializing fictitious damage. Stories are powerful, and sometimes even wonderful, but we so often allow our stories to cloak reality. Then, we walk through life blindfolded and unknowing. But we can remove our blindfold if we are willing to embrace science. Many will argue that science is also prone to limitations imposed by our imperfect brains. They have the right to do so. Indeed, science is not all-knowing, but its power truly lies in the admittance of its own ignorance. While stories can nurture fanaticism and irrational actions, science encourages us to admit our fallacies and initiate new endeavors. It also encourages us to behold reality in its factual nature. Wondrous mechanisms rest shrouded beyond our fallacious lenses. The entirety of the world is a continuous buzz of dynamic particles. We are but an integral part of this colossal quantic machine, a machine that contrived such contraptions as the spin of the atom, the evolution of organisms, and the chemical dance of molecules. Next time you take a stroll in the woods, look attentively around you, and you shall see the organism's age-long struggle for adaptation. How the trees develop bark for protection, how the leaves evolve to capture sunlight, how ants evolve to cooperate in swarms. All qualities emerge from DNA mutations and rectifications, honed over the centuries. Natural selection at its finest. Next time you look into the mirror, imagine how your eyes have evolved from mere light sensors to an optically and neurologically sophisticated organ. Then behold your reflection. Isn't it fascinating how physics and light work? How the waves of light bounce off the mirror, retracing the path they've taken, just to be captured by the lenses of your eyes, which transform the photons into an image. As you stare at your clone, your brain is activating structures of neurons responsible for self-recognition. Then maybe you find yourself thinking about various aspects related to your image. Maybe you interpret yourself, judge yourself maybe. Then you form a race of thoughts connected to this judgment. And now, you are in a loop of stream consciousness. All the while multiple neural structures are activated and you mentally travel through memories. Bits of information are being trafficked in your brain. This, my friend, is reality in its purest form. Being aware of the micro-mechanisms that govern the world instills a shock of awe in our infinitesimal minds. We are too accustomed to mind our petty everyday business, and when we encounter the true immensity of reality, our inner world shrinks and we are stuck in adoration, tainted by a tinge of fear. A frisson slides across our ephemeral body, and we feel integral to the quantic machine formerly known as the universe. At this point, we may as well deem our existence in this ravishing symphony a delight. Until next time, stay mindful.